Alright folks, Serenade Sunday is here on a cup of Joe. Welcome back to it. Yes, and our very first guest inside Serenade Sundays is the man who told us, "Who let the dogs out? Who? Many of you may not be old enough to know, but this brother has a rich vein of music, and I think you heard that rich vein to the top of the show. Just before I introduce him and speak with him and share a cup with him this morning, his voice is still as rich as when I think I heard it back on the stage when I was about this high. His voice is still as rich back in the day.
Like the coffee.
That's the coffee. That's the Joe.
Yeah, that's the Joe. How you doing?
Douglas, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah.
Let's just start with the song at the top. That tribute almost to Shadow. Because,
okay, all right.
Because when I heard it, it's funny because we were speaking off air a short while ago, and when I heard it, you told me that song has been out for a few years.
Yeah, it has been.
The timing of course, Shadow's passing, when I heard the song, I thought you just really penned the song and released that song.
Now I know that I would not be making a parang on you. Well, first of all, I'm not a paranderos.
You're right. You've never done that.
No, and you know what? I remember one time in Toronto, I tried my hand at it on a Christmas show they had, and they asked me, and somebody's a Christmas show, you know, you had to sing a parang.
Yeah.
So I think I went and I tried to learn.
From Trinidad, they had to sing a parang.
You understand? So I went and I tried to learn Scrunter's Leroy. Where your mother gone? She gone, parang. And I made a mess of the man's song. Because, I mean, I sang the song, I knew the words, but there's a bounce to it that you have to, I never got it. Honestly, I was never a parang man. I love parang music, you know, love to go up Lopino, love to go, I love parang music, but I just ain't good at it. One day I am driving and I don't know what got into my ball. I think it was Christmas time too, eh?
Just like that?
Yeah, just like that. Because, you know, Shadow is somebody who, and I think this is true for every artist. Shadow has had some sort of influence on every Trinidad and Tobago calypso artist somewhere in the mix. Because he was one of the entertainers. You don't have to hear his voice to know Shadow music.
Yeah.
As soon as the song started, say, "Hey, there's a Shadow," you know. So I think I don't know what caused it. I was just driving and I said that, and the line just came. Yeah. Merry Christmas. I was like, okay, and I just started writing. You know, by the time I got to where I was going, I had a verse and chorus in my head because I'm driving, right? And I ended up finishing the song eventually, and I went by Junior Ibo Joseph, and we did the song. But it was just a song that I did, and I put it out there, and I didn't do any major follow-up on it because I am truly not a parang man.
Right.
I ain't really trying to pretend that. And I think it would have been about 2 or 3 years ago, Mark Anthony from 100 called me and started cussing me off.
Yeah.
Boy, you release a big song and you tell me...
And it's not playing on Christmas.
You know, and I think it was Christmas in July, I think. And he gave me a good mouthful and an earful and everything. He just started on me, and I was like, that song released about some years now, a couple of years now.
But the fact that with the story you just told, the fact that you were driving down the road, and all of a sudden, you just, which means Shadow really had a major influence in your career. And I mean, that kind of in your subconscious.
Somewhere, yeah, and I think that is true for a lot of entertainers. They don't realize Shadow's influence in their music, you know. But in the studio now, Ibo is saying, you know what would be great? Call Winston and see if he'll come and do that. So I call him on the phone. He said, Anslem, boy. I'm not even lying. He said, Anslem, boy, there is nothing, there has come to me when I in the studio, you know. I just carry and do that, just so. I guess that was a no. So I know how to go and try to mimic, you know, because, you know, that is his call, that is his cry when you hear it, you know, that is Shadow. So we did it, and well, the rest is history. Here I am on Joe singing the song. You know.
I just wanted to say he was one of the characters, as I said to the top, that I just never had the opportunity to share a cup with.
Oh, really?
So it shook me when he passed, and I recognized that was one of the great men that I did.
I would tell you something about Shadow. Because we were up at Kiss Kitty Records together back in the day and stuff, you know. Shadow music is so simple and still so complex at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, a little child could listen to Shadow and understand it because of its simplicity, and because it's so complex, it could.
The messages are so powerful.
Yeah, it could confuse brilliant minds, you know.
But that is a fact.
Yeah,
that is a fact. And so I know we had to talk about you a little bit, but I just really want to touch because I also know we losing some of our great ones.
Yeah.
And I know you were also very close with Ken, Professor Phil.
Yeah. That one hit me, man.
Yeah,
that one was sad because we performed together 2 weeks before his passing. You know, and we, you know, Ken is a hug up, kiss up, love up.
You know,
always that. You know, and we had that time and you know, we performed on a boat ride in South, and then we came off and we went and we hung out by a pub. On the greens on Superior Street, we hung out there and we took pictures and we love up, and you know. And the next thing I hear, he had an accident. Yeah. And then by the following weekend, he had passed. Yeah. So it was, up to now, it's still, sometimes I wonder if Ken really gone, boy. You know, but hey. And then right after, well, before Ken, we had Ellie had passed, and then and then Ken, and then the Foster, well, Shadow, and then the Foster. Yeah, it was just, you know, I was talking to Gypsy because remember, Shadow is Winston, the Foster is Winston, Gypsy is Winston. Gypsy tell me, say, and so am I going to change my name? Yeah. he said, what's your middle name? I said Dexter. He said, I go and change my name, boy. I Winston Peters. You know? But we can laugh at it now. You know, we can laugh at it now. Yeah.
So I mean, you're back home for a while for the last few years.
Yeah, I'm back here.
But you've been up to some stuff because I understand that you're working on a book.
Yeah, I'm working on a book.
What type of book is it?
It's a children's book.
A children's book.
Yeah, it's the age demographic is 9-11.
What inspired that?
Boy, that's a long. You have time?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you. I'm gonna give the short version.
My short version.
I went to my mom's apartment and asked her. You know, she was up in New York. She was coming down to Trinidad and packing up stuff to come back. You know, come to Trinidad. And I said, "Don't carry down no Yankee rat in them suitcase you're packing up, you know." Because you know when people come to New York and they're going back home, everything you can get in Trinidad they want to pack up. So I said, okay. And she said, boy, and a light just came on in my head. Because here's my mom packing a set of stuff to bring back home. And I'm like, and ping, this light came on. And that's the story. 2 American mice end up coming to Trinidad to live because the person who they were staying by is going back home to live. So I had to improvise on the story and create some stuff, you know.
But I mean, I suppose because you've been writing your music,
most of it, yeah.
So, but I mean, so I suppose that was almost storytelling is part of who you are.
I was always a storyteller in my music because, you know, I remember people telling me, Anslem, your songs have too much words in it. Still, and that era changed. You need less words in your songs. You know, like what? And I remember sprang along saying, when you write a song, you're supposed to be able to read it, which makes sense to me. Right. You can't say you're writing something that reading and writing goes together. So if I write a song, I must be able to read it and it must make sense.
You can't read some of them songs.
Where it reached to, I'm telling you, because you could sing the third verse first. I remember on Sesame Street, you had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And all of a sudden now you could sing a third verse first and a second verse last, and because it doesn't really matter because there's no, you know what I'm trying to say.
So this book is coming. It's a story.
It's a story based 2 American mice moving to Trinidad, and coming here and going through the ups and downs of settling in a new country, a new society, and you know, and it started off as being a picture book. But the publisher said it's too long to be a picture book and too short to be a chapter book.
Right.
So I had to go back to the drawing board and do a whole lot of writing.
And it's launching when you
Well, we're looking at maybe March.
come on back when it's launched, man.
I will. I will for sure.
Come on back and let's see where it's what the finished product was.
Yeah, so it's going to be an electronic book.
Oh, it's an ebook.
Yeah, ebook
Right.
and audiobook also.
Right.
And we'll have a few hard copies, So
Nice.
rest one on the shelf here.
Nice,
So,
yeah,
you know?
of course. Now, Anslem, in the carnival, I mean, Anslem can't be home and not in the carnival.
I had to do a thing, man.
Yeah, do a
I
thing.
do a thing.
So I heard a little bit of it, guys. You gotta stay tuned because he is performing his 2009.
2009, one of the 2019, one of, yeah.
You're doing more than one.
It's a long season, man. I in the mix, you know.
In the mix,
I in the
in the
mix,
mix.
yeah. So
I heard a little bit of it, and that sweetness, as I said,
Yeah.
that nice story still remains. It's called what? What you tell us about?
I Read Tonight, and I Read Tonight is basically a song. Is a what you call a retro flick.
Yeah, cool.
So because I want to see people party again like we used to. Spread your hand and break away. Put your hand in the air, hug up your girl. You know, too many men going to party and stand up and watching the girl spin on their head. You know, hug up your girl.
Don't take pictures.
Yeah, don't let she and videotape it. No. Don't let the girl spin on her head.
It's a right vibe. It's Serenade Sundays. Anslem Douglas, I want to thank you very much.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot for having me.
When I heard the shadow, I wanted to make sure we had Anslem here to open our Serenade Sunday season. And he is going to drop another one on you after this break. His new track, it's called
I Read Tonight.
I Read Tonight, but really the name of the song is Hug Up Your Woman.
Okay.
Hug Up Your Woman. When we come back, guys, Anslem Douglas entertains us with another track, his 2019 hit. Hug
Hug up your woman.
Which he calls I Read Tonight. Come on back, Cup and Chew.